stand up. Can you folks hear me all right?
Yeah, good voice.
Okay. Unlike a lot of people who spend a lot of time with the 452nd before they were ordered to active duty when we were all training in Long Beach.
448.
And, well, you took the words right out of my mouth. Anyway, I was a brand new Army Air Corps Reserve officer when I got out of the service, World War II. I had this reserve commission I didn't know what to do with, and somebody said, go to Long Beach. There's a couple of reserve outfits there. They're looking for people. So I wandered over there, didn't know anything about them, didn't know the 452nd's number or 448, didn't know any of that. And it seems as though the day I got to Long Beach was the weekend that the 452nd was doing its training. So it was there. I walked in and I was greeted and said I was looking for an assignment, and I'm a reserve officer. And he said, what's your World War II MOS? And I said, well, I was commissioned as a navigator. And but later on I flew as a B-29 flight engineer and really didn't do a lot of navigating work. He said, well, that's all right. We don't need any flight engineers, but we sure need navigators. So he assigned me to the 729th Squadron. I didn't know any numbers or anything back then. In fact, I didn't know there was 2 wings involved till later on. Anyway, I got signed up as a navigator, and I really never did like navigating. There's nothing wrong with it, but I prefer it to be something else. And so one day after I'd been in the unit maybe 3 or 4 months, I went into the office for something, and the copy of the squadron's TO&E, Table of Organization and Equipment, was on the table there. Nobody was there. So I leafed through it. I'd never seen it before. And anyway, I got the gist of it. It listed all the authorized jobs in a light bomb squadron and the corresponding official authorized rank, whether it was tech sergeant, buck private, or captain, or whatever. Well, I was already assigned as a lieutenant type navigator, and that was the authorized strength. So going through the TO&E, I saw, well, here's materiel officer, authorized as a captain. Nobody's assigned. So I got a hold of the squadron CO, and I said, what are you doing about your materiel officer? He said, well, we're looking for one. And I said, well, I'll tell you what, you're talking to one. I have several years' experience in the overhaul, maintenance, and repair of military aircraft and engines, and I'm well qualified to fill that job for you and run your materiel section. And he said, well, what kind of engines have you worked on? I said, well, you name them and I'll tell you. He said, no, you tell me. I said, well, we have B-17s, we have B-24s, they've got similar round engines, but they're different. We've got C-47s, and they've got the R-1830s, and on and on and on. And he said, have you had any experience with bigger ones? And I said, well, how does 3350 sound to you? That's the biggest we have, and they're in the B-29s. He says, do you know about them? I said, I know them inside out and backwards. He said, okay, don't tell me anymore. You're hired. I said, no, I'm already hired. Just transfer me into this captain slot. Maybe I can get promoted someday. So, I performed as the 729th Materiel Officer for a couple of years, and this is still before the 452nd got activated for Korea. And by then, I'm getting kind of teed off with the whole program. I didn't think it was too well organized, and wasting my time driving 30 miles to Long Beach to get a training session that wasn't, in my opinion, too well organized. And I told my wife, I said, well, you know, I've been in this reserve, so-called reserve outfit for a couple of years, and I'm really disenchanted. I think this was the summer of 50. The 452nd was scheduled to go on its annual 2-week tour of training activity in early August of 50. And Wing Headquarters said, we want 5 officers in the wing to come on duty a week before the 2-week tour and stay a week after to straighten out the paperwork. Well, I applied for that and was accepted. So I told my wife, I said, well, I'm going to get 30 days of active duty, and this summer we need the money, and I'm going to go for it. Do you have any objection? She said, no, go for it. So on the 25th of July, I started my 30-day tour of active duty. Okay, let's get into this. Now,